Ah, The Legend of Zelda, a wonderful game about a green elf boy who saves a princess from a pig monster. Except in one of the timelines where Link apparently just dies. You just can't do it in this one. But that got me thinking, how quickly can Link die in Ocarina of Time? In fact, how quickly could Link die in each Zelda game? So I set up a little speedrun challenge for myself to get Link killed in each game. I was going to call it Ganon wins percent, but since Ganon isn't the only antagonist in the Zelda series, I will have to be infinitely lamer and just call it death percent. So here's how we're going to do it. The times will probably not be optimal, as I will be actively thinking about how to best die for a lot of these games. Feel free to try this as well and let me know your death percent times in the comments below. For games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I will be using entirely new save files, which makes skipping certain cutscenes impossible. Every save file made here is completely fresh. Speedrun glitches are allowed, but I don't know a lot of them, and usually just dying is faster anyway. Imagine that. Time starts as soon as I hit start on the file select screens. I'm not doing every version of every game. I can't do Skyward Sword on Wii since I don't have a Wii Motion Plus, and some things like Twilight Princess HD don't change too much for the purposes of this death challenge. So I thought about where to start this challenge first, but since I brought up the Zelda timeline, let's start there. Skyward Sword HD. I feel like depending on who you ask, Skyward Sword HD can have either the best or the worst start of any Zelda game. It's very charming with its characters, and holy crap, I do not remember liking the art style of the game this much as a kid. It's been a good 15 or so years since I last played through this game, and I remember hating it, but the intro sequence still pisses me off. We get yanked around a bunch, trying to look for a cat, and then our bird, and we eventually get a sword and walk into a cave. Unfortunately, I don't think this Link was blessed with the Triforce of Courage, as he cannot get a strike in and is visibly shaking. Link inevitably dies from bat bites. Skyward Sword HD clocks in at 10.5 minutes to die, but I will have to admit I did get a bit lost and I do not remember the intro at all, so you can probably shave off a bit of time. In the Wii version, this probably takes forever because I was skipping cutscenes all around. Next up in the Zelda timeline, we have The Legend of Zelda The Minish Cap. The Minish Cap starts out like many a Zelda game, featuring a Toon Link with him sleeping in on a bright day. Zelda comes out to fetch him for a Picori festival, and we get to watch them be kind of happy together. It's all very cute, to be honest. My first attempt to die was at the hands of this business scrub, but unfortunately he does not deal any real damage. Dang. Vati, unfortunately, does not end me in the cutscene shortly after, and I get tasked with finding a way to restore Zelda. Unfortunately, Link immediately perishes at the hands of an Octorok. This guy has no invincibility frames at all, look at his health go. Perhaps it was unwise of the king to send an unguarded 5-year-old. But hey, what do I know about politics? All I know is that the Minish Cap clocks in at 7 minutes and 33.5 seconds. We then get to Four Swords, a multiplayer side game on GBA. In this game, story mostly takes a backseat. Vati kidnaps Zelda, grab a sword. Multiple links. Thanks to the story being so simple, there's no real intro sequence. Due to linking up the Game Boys taking some time, I've taken the liberty of timing this one after the link establishes instead. For speedrunning purposes, this one would be weird because the maps you get are randomized, but luckily for me, I got one with a pit immediately. I decided it would be nice to get both of my links killed at the same time, so as I lined them up, they both perished at the same time at 53 seconds in, which did have a small time loss. So far, this one is the fastest death yet, but I wonder how long it will keep that record. And so, we come to the timeline split. The Fallen Hero timeline, the Child timeline, and the Adult timeline that branch from one game that redefined the Zelda series as a whole. It's kind of amusing to me how much the timeline hinges on this one game, considering just how much Ocarina of Time would set the stage going forward in development of the games. Ocarina of Time is kind of known for its long intro scene, so we'll just have to sit through that entire thing together. Nah, I'm only kidding. Alright, so we can't really drown here, we can't get to the monsters yet. There should be a business scrub in the woods, but we can also head on over to the sword area and get repeatedly assaulted by a rock. I'm not sure which one would be faster, but Link dies pretty early in this one by the time of 5 minutes and 22 seconds. Ocarina of Time 3D has some faster text, so it clocks in a little faster at 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Hey, nice. Next up is Majora's Mask, which has a surprisingly long opening sequence. You have the Ocarina of Time-esque opening scene, as well as Link getting startled off his horse, the ocarina stolen, the horse stolen, then a chase scene. Do some awesome flips, wowie, mess up in the 3D version because it controls weirdly on an actual controller, and fall down the hole. Skull Kid talks to you again, and once again more tutorial. I tried to die by falling down into the hole, but voiding out here does not seem to damage the player, so the two links will have to press on into Clock Town. Now for 64, you can pretty quickly die after this point, though I realize it's a bit late. See, because what we can do is escape the town by just walking backwards. For 3D, that doesn't work, so in 3D we have to find a bunch of children. 64 Link dies out in the wild by 14 minutes and 15.5 seconds, though I believe this could be sped up by a minute or two. 3D is still finding children, but wins a game of hide and seek and proceeds to die in the sewers in 16 minutes and 46 seconds. I cannot tell which fate is worse, to be honest. Speaking of terrible fates, my footage for Twilight Princess is very, very wide. I apologize for that, I could not fix this. So Link and this guy, I don't remember his name, he's probably not important, Greg. His name is Greg. Link and Greg are talking about edgy stuff because this is Twilight Princess, land of edge and brown, and then Link goes home. The next day, he has to spend his day herding goats. Whoa. When the kids come up to him on day 3, Link heads into town, but after doing some more chores, he realizes he's had enough of goat herding and moaning gremlin children, and jumps down from a high ledge and dies. Real talk, I only figured out a bit late that I could jump down from here and die, so while I'm still faster than I expected, it's still slower than necessary at 14 minutes and 38 seconds. This one can be improved. Next up, again, another GameCube game, and one I wish could get a proper remaster. Four Swords Adventures. In this game, Link once again draws the four swords from its sanctuary, releasing Vati, and also Ganondorf is reincarnated in this game? I don't know, this game's plot is all over the place and might as well have been entirely non-canon. What I do know is that the Links ignore this house, push a boulder, and then take turns to get hit and die pretty early on. Dang! The intro is very long for this one though, so we clock in at 6 minutes and 27 seconds, despite having only about 40 seconds of actual gameplay. And that is the end of the Child Era timeline. Before we get started on another timeline, let's make a quick detour to non-canon land with Hyrule Warriors. First, I tried to die by bokoblins, but they are honestly completely useless in battle. So eventually, I decided to see if I can get Volga, a Hyrule Warriors original character, Do Not Steal, to kill me. He's a bit weak, but thankfully it went as well as to be expected, clocking Hyrule Warriors in at 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Neat! It can be sped up a little bit still, because I actually picked normal mode. Oops. So since Link has been dying this entire time, let's tackle the Fallen Hero timeline next. Starting with Link to the past, we start with a voice in our head and our uncle leaving for some reason. Time to follow him. It looks like our uncle was on the same quest as we are and dies right in front of us. For anyone wondering, Uncle managed to die in 1 minute and 15.5 seconds. Looks like he's a bit better at it than us, since we are clocking in at 1 minute and 27 seconds, this time after dying to a Hylian knight. In both Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, we end up hanging out with an Oracle. Something happens and the Oracle of each gets kidnapped and we must save them, and then we die to an Octorok. In both games, consistency! Clocking in at 5 minutes and 14 seconds for Oracle of Ages, and 3 minutes and 18 seconds for Oracle of Seasons respectively. Fabrore is in shambles because we totally did not get our game. Link's Awakening is a game where Link nearly dies at sea and gets stuck in the dream world. In it, he faces a moral dilemma. The people of this world are in fact real in this world. Does he have the right to end their entire existence just to escape back to his own world? Terran, who looks like Mario, gives us the shield, but we don't really use it and try to touch Octorok to no avail. Dang, Link dies in 1 minute and 5 seconds in this one. But dang, what was up with the existentialism in this one? In Link Between Worlds, some very familiar scenes play out. Link wakes up in a bed, but unlike last time, there is no dying uncle and no lengthy narrations. However, there is a lot of dialogue and a forced save. Once trouble starts brewing, we find our way into our dangerous situation. Random rat. Unfortunately, a rat proved too much for a brave hero, and he dies in 5 minutes and 37 seconds. We now reach Zelda I, a game that needs no introduction. We just move one screen in this one. I am not giving you an introduction, because throughout this sentence, Link has already died in 10 seconds, which is also easily the newest record. And finally, on this timeline, there is Zelda II, the black sheep of the franchise. In it, we have to save a sleeping Zelda. There are 2 Zeldas in this one, by the way. But our ultimate goal is that we need to touch some grass. Touching grass will spawn us some enemies that we can use to die on. Zelda II ends with 25 seconds. Whew, that's the Fallen Hero timeline done. Since there's no 3D games here, the intros are rather short, except for Link Between Worlds. You ever think about that, by the way? The Fallen Hero timeline has a lot of games, but they're all 2D overhead games, most of which take place outside of Hyrule. I think that makes this a good time to talk about Triforce Heroes, a game which also takes place outside of Hyrule. In Triforce Heroes, 3 heroes rise up to stylishly rescue the cursed princess who is cursed, I guess. I kind of forgot how this game goes. It has been a while since I played it, and I have been skipping cutscenes, so getting 3 people together for it is hard, so I played the single player mode and made the mistake of wearing the hero's tunic over a cute teddy bear shirt. So I slowed myself down a bit, but I managed to kill Link pretty quickly at 7 minutes and 28 seconds. This leaves us with the adult timeline, which starts with Wind Waker. The first thing the game does is remind us of a game that made them a lot of money, Ocarina of Time, but it tells of a bad ending. I believe that the idea here was that Link went off to go do Majora's Mask, but with it now being the adult timeline, I think it's been retconned to be that the Hylians did not know adult Link was sent back in time to live out his childhood days normally. Of course, this means that Link still wasn't there, so I guess he went on to go do Majora's Mask regardless. Look, the timeline thing gets really weird. After Link wakes up and sits through an interrogation from his sister, he gets told to go see Grandma. However, Link remembers that Grandma always gives him grandma kisses and seeks it out, so after a failed attempt at breaking his legs, I just decide to drown Link. Get ready for Link to drown often in this timeline, by the way. In Wind Waker, it took 12 minutes and 56 seconds for Link to die. As a direct follow-up to Wind Waker, we sit through the story of Wind Waker at the doodly hands of Nico, which is good because last we checked, Tetra jumps onto a ghost ship and Link follows her and fails. Wait, how do we save the world in Wind Waker again? Once Link is conscious again, Link remembers that nothing actually happened in Wind Waker and tries to escape this fever dream that is Phantom Hourglass at 7 minutes and 27 seconds. Then we move on to Spirit Tracks, and I really wish I had more to say about Spirit Tracks, but unfortunately Spirit Tracks is almost the exact same, except instead of Tetra jumping onto a ghost ship, we have Alfonso, everybody! Anyway, same method of death, causing Link to die at exactly 3 minutes and 52 seconds. It even has a way shorter intro. And that's every game that has a proper spot in the timeline. Now we just have Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom left. But before we get to that, one quick shout out to the Bokoblins in Age of Calamity, which managed to kill me in 1 minute and 26.5 seconds. Infinitely better than the Bokoblins in Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. So finally, we have reached the newest games in the series, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, each setting up their own stupid timeline shenanigans. How are both Naruto and Zora here? Who knows? It's not important. Breath of the Wild, a new setting and a new direction for Zelda, now turning into this open world monstrosity. With less of a focus on storytelling, I will assume that it might be faster to die in this game. Link wakes up and hears a voice. We open the door, and as the open world presents itself in its entire beauty, like seriously, it's been 7 years and I still get goosebumps watching this scene unfold, I stand here and only one thought exists in my brain. I wonder if a fall from this height would kill me. So to satiate curiosity, we drop down and Link dies immediately in 4 minutes and 49 seconds. I would like to conclude that this means that Wind Waker's Link has stronger legs as a similar drop didn't hurt him. Link skipping leg day for 100 years probably did a number on him, huh? Tears of the Kingdom is a bit different, starting out with a very different opening sequence with loads more opportunities to die in. I tried jumping to my death and drowning, however jumping didn't really seem to work and drowning becomes available after a rather lengthy cutscene. So I settled on Bat Death. The keys, as they're called, will bump Link repeatedly until he dies, and Zelda does not seem to be too keen on doing anything about it. Probably believing that the hero who saved Hyrule would, you know, swing a sword. Well, he didn't, and so Link in Tears of the Kingdom dies in 7 minutes and 50 seconds. And that's it. Every Link death in every major Zelda game, though not in all versions. A few of these could be optimized far better, so I'm curious to see if any of you will try and die faster. This was a fun, albeit rather morbid, experiment, but I'm very weirdly happy to see the results of so many deaths. As always, thank you so much for watching, and a big shout out to my patrons over at patreon.com. The channel recently reached YouTube partner as well, so you can now also join the channel membership program to support me directly if you want. I hope to see you soon in the next video, but in the meantime, stay hydrated and, you know, don't be like Link and don't die. See you later, like and subscribe, bye!